All right, we're live with the Zeal Show, episode 44, where all the shows are unedited, unfiltered, unscripted, and uncensored. So the show, I'm trying to find the right name for this. I'm calling it Real Time Rant. Basically, it's for me to see what news there is out there today, what the AI has given me today, and also just scrolling through X to see what there is. There's a few things I want to talk about today, but at the same time, I try to keep the timing as within half an hour to 45 minutes as much as I can. Because after this, just like normal, I will be putting this into different clips anyway. But as for me, I really don't like to do a lot of editing. So I rather record what I have in live format and then just shorten it, which is actually much faster than doing a full video on YouTube. So just a few things before I move on. One is, let's go to the full view. Full view. I have my link as this is just daily messages that I will say. I have my link tree with the different links. So this is the shortened video. It's my first shortened video, condensed video for 10 minutes of a 1 hour interview. So please do support and try click on this. And then this Thursday, 2 p.m. So not on the usual time. This Thursday, 2 p.m. I will be having a podcast with Charles D'Haussy, okay, from CEO of DYDX. And then these are the previous ones. And then the normal CTAs, a call to action. Please do support me by buying a coffee. Your financial resources are always needed for these sort of shows. It's important that I see the support as well from people, and people do really like the show, right? Support my YouTube channel. I'm really just starting out. I was very happy with the first milestone that I had 10,000 views. So that was great. And just 2 days later, got 11,000 views. I hope to push it to 100,000 within 6 months. But I did hear one of my the YouTubers that I follow, that it says it took him 16 years to reach 100,000 subscribers. Maybe I think that he's not really putting the effort as much as he's trying to be. But after that, then everything skyrocketed, right? So I'm pushing, I'm making sure I put in a lot of effort. I'm not just getting subscribers for the sake of subscribers. I'm really putting in value for everyone to see. I'm assuming that once I do have 100,000 subscribers, when people look back at the first video, the value there is equivalent to the amount of value even when I do my videos when I have 100,000 subscribers. I also have my newsletter on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, please do subscribe. Okay, we're on 581 subscribers now. I have 2 editions that just came out. Well, the second edition that just came out last Friday. I'll have a new edition every Friday. Okay, so the coming one will be the 3rd edition. I'm also, later on I'll talk about it down there as well. Then I also have just a free ebook for people that want to master leadership. If you do want, you can just click on here and just fill in the link. And then you can actually download the book. If there's a problem with the link, just let me know. And then I also have 2 books. Here, one is Understanding Bitcoin, and my flagship book, Leadership Skills for New Managers. I'm coming up with a new one. It's not just for new managers. It's leadership skills for leaders. But I'm planning the book now, so it's going to take a bit of time. I hope within 2 months I'll get this book out. Here you can know more what the Zeal Show is about. We also have a long lineup until nearly end of June now. Right, so if you do want to be on the show or know someone that wants to be on the show, please click here and then fill in the form. And then I recently just set up this company, Azentic Nexus, which was a long time coming because there was a few obstacles here and there. So this company is trying to help different companies, whether it's on the corporate side of things, but targeting mostly regulated companies, because or companies that want to get themselves regulated, get licensing. The process of getting licensing, getting regulated is not easy, right? You need to plan your finances, you need to raise the funds, you need to make sure that before the license actually happens, that your team does not burn out, right? Because sometimes the leaders do get angsty that, why is the license not coming? And then they pressure the compliance people, they pressure different team members. I hope to prevent that, because getting a license in regulated markets, financial license, usually it's about the leadership and showing the trust to the regulators. It's not really about form filling, right? Because you also have a strategy on different, at the different levels, at different countries, right? So I do have a website. My website is up, right? And I also have some other collaterals if you want, okay? So do follow the LinkedIn page that I have here, or you can go to the website now, okay, and then go to the bottom of this website. Then you also have the LinkedIn, which you can click below, and it goes straight to the page. So I'm only just starting up as well on this, okay? So that is it. If you do know anyone that needs help with licensing or the process of starting from scratch, getting to license, I can definitely help out there. Right, okay, let's get to the main meat now. So there was a few things that really popped up. Let me go to the bookmarks. So there was a piece of news that just came out. Let me just search instead then. Harvard. So Harvard University, I've always thought Harvard was a public university, right? University in the so-called the Ivy League, right? Were all public, which I was wrong. Okay, Harvard is a private university that gets federal funding of over $9 billion and more every year. If I'm not wrong, every year, but at least this particular episode, Trump asked them to do something. I don't know what exactly it was, but they said that they will not compromise the Constitution, and they will not, or they did not say they're not getting the funding, but they're arguing with Trump that they would not compromise the Constitution. Let me go to the tweet feed to make it easier to see. Yeah. So because of that, they are not allowed to get the funding because they're not getting compromising to Trump's demands. But what I found interesting is that private universities can get funding. From what I know, any private institution, they will be by themselves. Okay, I don't know of any university that if you're private, you actually can get funding. Is it a grant or something? I'm not sure. So I actually want to grok this and find out how it works. Right. So I'm just open grok on the side. How come private universities can get, like Harvard, can get funding from federal government? Is this a norm? Okay, just waiting for grok to come out. Grok has been slightly slower these days. Yeah, it's now using a smaller model than the normal one to come up with results for us. Oh, it's indeed a norm. But the purposes and funding differ from those of public universities. So private universities get research grants, federal student aid, okay, contracts with federal agencies, specialized programs. Then what's the main diff? Okay, so what is the main difference between private funding and public funding? Give me summarized points. Okay, it's giving me a very long reply. I don't want that. So public funding, often tied to research in medicine or technology. It also supports student access through federal aid like grants. Private is used for institutional priorities such as scholarships, new facilities, or new programs. Okay, control and oversight. Public funding comes with government oversight and conditions. Private funding offers more autonomy as donors generally don't impose operational control. Okay, so they're assuming that if you have a donor, if you're private, then there's no autonomy, there's no controls or oversight, even when it's money coming from federal funds. Where's the logic in that? I don't understand. Where's the logic in this? When you are receiving government funds, when you receive government funds, you will need oversight, right? This is taxpayers' money. So how is it possible that when it's private funding, that it offers more autonomy? Okay, I'm happy that Trump is changing this because this is something very new to me. So yeah, this news is very wow to me that private institutions can get funding and with less oversight. This definitely needs to change. I'm pretty sure Elon and President Trump are looking at this and therefore making it hard for them to get the funding now because this has to change. That's why they're taking things for granted, right? Because they are such a huge university, so well known, with private university, with federal funding, with no oversight, very little oversight, they can do anything with the money. Interesting. And then the second thing, okay, so let's move on to the next part. This I find very interesting, right? This is about the Chinese manufacturers. Everyone has been talking about this. But if I just click on my home feed, well, at least for yesterday, well, not today. Yesterday, I click on my home feed. 9 out of 10 of the videos that appear on my home feed were all Chinese, related to Chinese manufacturing. So as some of you know, they're trying to expose how cheap the labor is. Well, in terms of the product, not the labor is cheap. As in the products that they produce, the cost is cheap. And then when you put a stamp on with luxury brands and all that, it becomes very expensive. They're trying to expose that the larger companies are actually selling out, right? Selling out the consumers. Something that can cost only $100, they're selling it for $2,000, right? And then there's a slew of videos that came out. I am very, well, as what Gen X would say, not Gen X, sorry, Gen Z would say, this is very sus. One, most of the videos there, they can speak very good English, right? They can speak very good English. And two, with the tariffs that are coming, if I am a business leader right now in China, I will be scrambling to think of ways on how to protect my business rather than coming out to come and expose what the companies are doing, right? What's the motive of that? It's not going to stop President Trump from putting in tariffs. In fact, I actually think this even gives more reason for President Trump to put tariffs because the margins that these large listed companies have taken, in a way, when they sell to consumers, they have enough money for the tariffs. And I don't think that these large companies from the likes of Nike, LVMH, and all of them are going to put an even much higher price on the consumers. Like, well, for me, I just bought a pair of Adidas training shoes on Amazon. It's now shipped from Amazon Japan to me. It's only $43. I buy from the shelves. It's over $200 odd. Yes, I know maybe the $200 odd is it's the normal retail funding, right? Retail price here. It's actually quite expensive. I don't think someone, let's say in the US, would buy a pair of trainers, sneakers for over $1,000. A normal, average, everyday American. It does not make sense, right? So it will cut into the margins, and definitely that's why the stock markets are going to go down because the expectation of the earnings is going to be affected, right? Because the profit margins are going to get hit, but from a very, very large base, right? But I digress. That's not my point. I'm trying to say that all the TikTokers that came out, I'm very suspicious if they're actually from the business. If you know that in China, most of the companies, especially the large ones, you will actually have one person from the Chinese Communist Party, one of the members there, to be sitting inside a company and watching them. That's how things work, right? I've known this for many years, and the people that I know in China says it's the same. That person doesn't have any power per se in the company. They have no scope. They're a lot more like a messenger they're more like a messenger for the CCP to know what's going on inside the company. If the company does something that they don't like, they just need to say, okay, I need to report this to my boss in the CCP. This gets the company scared already. So it's been like that, right? So I feel some of these TikTokers are actually within the CCP. And if you look at all the videos, it's exactly like the media from the left. They are very united. How can you get every single company to be united doing the same thing to expose all the prices? The only reason I can think of is the CCP has told all the younglings that have TikTok accounts to come out to expose. So today, I'm actually going to write a thread that talks about how, what, why do people get into the Chinese Communist Party? What do they do? I'll do some research before, right? Because I think it's important to know that TikTokers from China are very different from TikTokers or social media influencers in the West or even outside of China. Many of them, if by this logic, because many are really focusing on how to get their businesses run properly, right, are basically people from the Chinese Communist Party. But it's very interesting. It's not nothing bad. I just find the messaging is just very united, right? Every single video exactly is the same. It's like you have one video and then you watch another one. It's like they're passing the baton, and then the whole sleuth of videos that come out is all very similar. Yeah, so I'll be writing on that. So, and one more thing that I also tweeted yesterday, saying that if I was a company like LVMH or even Apple, actually, if you realized, out of all the manufacturing videos, there isn't much on Apple. Don't you feel it's funny? Don't you feel it's funny? Like most of them are textile or handbag related, right? It's not on the more expensive, more national security, as President Trump would say, related sort of goods, right? So, but even so, let's say LVMH contracts a Chinese company. By right, there should be an NDA saying whatever cost you are doing it at for the handbags that I have, the clothes or whatever, you must keep quiet on the actual cost that is being created. Yes, you can see it through the financial statements, but it's not clear as to, for example, one bag, how much it costs, or one pair of shoes, how much it costs. But even that, you must keep quiet, right? But suddenly it seems like all the NDAs are broken because a word from the government saying that let's go and expose, everyone does it. It is unbelievable how united it is. And it feels to me like the X algorithm yesterday was sort of, I won't call it compromise, but I'm like what is it trying to do? Is it because everyone was viewing it at the same time? I don't know. But today everything is back to normal. But yesterday, yesterday everything was on Chinese manufacturers talking about it. The only guy that I would see, like even on YouTube, he's a sensation, is Tony from LC Science, right? That's a different case. But for the others, it was all unknown. And especially when you join the CCP, same as governments in Singapore, right? Usually you are part of the elite, the smarter ones. They really want A-grade students going in, right? So they will actually check your background and all that. I was just reading up a bit. Okay, you can't be like from the slums or go in straight away. It's not like that. They are very polished, the CCP. You have to be very smart to get in or have some sort of background, right? Yeah. So that's what I saw. So, and then the other point was that the tariffs even gives more reason. So for Trump to put in tariffs. So I actually don't know what the motive is. Are they trying to defend themselves, saying that it's not me, it's your companies that are charging you? My prices are like that? I'm not sure. Okay. All right, let's go to the part where the AI has asked me to talk about. I haven't seen it yet, so let's see what it gave me. One article, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so I guess this is then if the first thing is about Bitcoin, let me just log in and see the chart. Okay, but anyway, it says that Bitcoin hovers at 85,000 as Fed Waller suggests bad news rate cuts if tariffs continue. Rate cuts is bad news? Well, I think to the Bitcoiners, rate cut is good news because we have a recipe for a huge bull market. Rate cuts plus the global M2 is about to increase. Well, it's increasing. I don't know if there's a site on M2, but let me have a look. Okay, let me just load the chart here. All right, so let's see, where's the chart? So, as I say, there are 2 things, but now I look at 3 things. This is the maximum I do now. I look at, for the ones that are new, I look at the support and resistance of a particular price point. Meaning that if a price of Bitcoin became a support or changed to become a resistance, I would check on that. All right, so if we open up the daily price, every time I do this, I would say this is not financial advice, this is for my own investments, and I'm saying out my thoughts. So for example, this 88,000 is an important price point. This one is an unconfirmed price point. Let's change the color because it wasn't really touched, right? Like this one, hold on, let me just show you guys. This one is also not so important. 53. Oh yeah, we talked about 53 was on another chart, but anyway, this is the daily chart. I did get some here the other day, but this price point is very important. We really need the price to go past, for myself, to go past 88 and then bounce before it, then this is the point that I would definitely say we may be going back in a bull market. But I'm not worried. I mean, either way, I'm actually fine. If it bounces up here and it comes down here to the trend line, it goes up, I'm still good. What I'm very worried about, let's change the colors of these lines so it's easier to see. Let's change it to green. Green means I'm fine with the where the price is going. Let's change it to green color. Okay, so if it goes up here, all right, I'm fine with these 2 scenarios. What I'm not fine in terms of the scenario is it pushes down, come here, and then it breaks. Okay, if this breaks, then we really need to look at the monthly chart. So assume that it breaks. We have to look at the monthly chart. So just to explain for the newcomers, the red line is the halving of Bitcoin. I have another whole set of video when I explain what halving is. But every time there's halving, for some reason the prices go up. I'm not saying it's causal, but there's a lot of reasons for it. But I'd rather use it as an observation that every time there's halving, we will have a price spike, but we don't have that yet, right? But if we look at a 10-year chart, 10-year range from 2015, it is quite steady on a log chart, right? So there's a higher bottoms, very clear trend. So if it breaks down here, this is what I'll be worried, right? If it breaks down below. So this is another very long, very solid line for the support resistance line that I will track. Right, so it's around, yes, around 60-ish, around here. So if it breaks down below the last high, how far it goes, it will be very important. But if it bounces back up from the line, this will be great, right? So to me, if there are tariffs, no Fed cuts, then that is, to me, very bad news, right, for Bitcoin. Not about the economy, but for the Bitcoin price. But then there were news about global M2. Maybe we can see it from, maybe we can see it from X. Let's do this. Global M2 Bitcoin. So what was this? This was 2024. This is interesting. Okay, so this was November 2024. Let me go back to the tweet view so it's easier to see. If I make it bigger, can you see? This is interesting, right? This was November 26, 2024. If you look at the price of Bitcoin, it follows the M2 very accurately. And then there is, when it goes down, it did go down, exactly what it's doing right now, right? So Bitcoin lags global M2 by around 10 weeks. 10 weeks, which is 2 months. So if we look at the global M2 today, right, global M2 is high right now. It went up, right? Bitcoin hasn't gone up. So we're actually, if for example right now it's in it's 15th of April, 10 weeks, with basically around 2.5 months. So basically 2.5 months, we should see the price also spike up. So now that's why for myself I am definitely loading up. This is another price. Is it causal? This is much more linked because more money supply for Bitcoin. The expectation of it is that it will also, because of inflation, it will also go up. But I have not matched the global M2 with gold. I don't know what it looks like. Bitcoin, I've been seeing this for ages. Everyone has been talking about this. But global M2 with gold, does it look the same? It's the global M2 with gold. Gold is also very similar. And there is without offset. So when, this is more interesting. So with gold, there's actually no offset. There is actually no lag. And so when global M2 goes up, then the gold goes up. So in a way, if we look at what gold has been doing, okay, let me open gold. Gold has been going up. Gold has been going up. All right, so if we go and overlay with a Bitcoin price here, it's a 10-week lag, right? It's a 10-week lag. So that's why you can see that the prices went down, okay? And then prices started going down around, we can prove because this was a higher high, prices started going down in January, which was basically around 10 weeks. Now we're bottoming out. It's like gold was bottoming out in around here, right? February gold was bottoming out. Bitcoin is now bottoming out. it's very interesting. So we have seen that gold is very correlated with M2. Bitcoin is 10 weeks lag. Bitcoin, by right, unless this breaks again, will be going up. So it's actually very easy to see. If you look at the price, if we can treat gold as the proxy, then you will actually know where Bitcoin will be going. Okay, so what does this say? So it's basically yes, whatever the Federal Reserve does, they can do whatever they want to do, right? But if they cut, it will be time for Bitcoin to start going up because it's around 10 weeks already. Okay, so it's not really bad news in my view. Okay, next is what's this? Okay, so this week, so the AI always has been asking me to refer to this weekly. For me, I use this to also learn about the different things that's happening in the geopolitical side of things. Last week we were looking at Nepal, comparing with Bhutan. This week it's talking about US-China trade, Brazil tariffs response. Interesting. So what is Brazil responding as? Okay. But it's a paid article. It's very annoying. So maybe I will get the AI to not show me these articles because it's paid and I can't go in and see anyway. Okay, so let me go to this. Let me see if there is a article on this. There's none. Okay. Then let's look at Brazil tariff war. Anything that they're doing. Why don't we just ask Grok? How is Brazil dealing with the current tariff war? Okay, so great. Brazil is also on the negotiation camp over retaliation. So that's great. I think it's important that South America, I think Canada is the only one. Well, Canada and sort of Mexico. The others are all rely on the US, right, in terms of trade. So retaliation is not really preferred. You can see how US is ramping it up with China, right, and how China is ramping it back. So what does it say here? They have a very strong automotive and chemical industry. They're worried about the global ripple effects. Potentially flood of Mexican and Chinese goods redirected to Brazil. That's interesting. Okay. Because Brazil is a very big consumer market. Is Brazil considered? Is Brazil considered a very big consumer market? That was my question for them. 215 million users, around $2.1 trillion in economic GDP. Roughly 50% of Brazil is in the middle class. Brazil is the top of the market for cosmetics, agribusiness, and automotives. Income inequality, but in terms of the giants, Brazil's market is way smaller. So the GDP of US is 21 trillion, China is 6 trillion. So it's not really a big market, but they will just redirect some of the cheaper goods. Oh, so they're now worried because if you flood cheaper goods into Brazil, they will also need to find a way to protect their own industries. And therefore, they might also join the tariff war. So this is what I'm saying, right? So US may be the one that's starting this, but you will start to see that goods from different countries will start rerouting to other countries. And the other countries will also then be worried about their own industries. Okay, so they will then need to decide. It's a multi-pronged thing that you need to deal with. You need to deal with the US. You need to deal with the rerouting of goods and services to your country. Do you think of protecting them, or do you allow them to come in? Right, so there's a lot that's at stake in the next 90 days as this 90-day pause is by the US. But not everyone is just talking to the US. Everyone's talking to everyone. So these these 90 days, that's whatever is happening, it's a full-blown reset on the whole global trading system. My concern right now is, as we know, governments are usually very slow, right? We can see in terms of like the climate change conference, no one ever hits the target. Everyone's trying to repurpose or redefine the target from what, global zero to become net zero. Net zero means like you just need to cancel things out. But in the 90 days, can all governments actually negotiate all the deals that has been happening for the past 20, 30 years? I'm not quite sure of that, right? But at least from President Trump's perspective, they need to deal with the US first, right? You deal with the US, maybe after the 90 days, then each country will then be dealing with their own domestic circumstances with the non-US countries. So it might happen that way. Okay, so that's interesting. That made me have a think on not just Brazil, how other countries will be thinking. Understanding the price of Bitcoin with a real-time tracking tool. Okay, why is this important? Okay, I think I might need to fine-tune the AI. Don't think that's important. We talked about the lag with M2, 10 weeks. IMF blog, how geopolitical risk weighs on asset prices. Yeah, we talked about this, right? So in terms of the margins will get hit, even though the margins are a lot. So from President Trump's perspective, there's a lot of money on the table that they can take to become government funding. But in terms of margins for the stock investors, it will shrink. And when it shrinks, that means the stock markets will be coming down. When the stock market comes down, that is why Keynesian economics comes in again, government comes save the day, more money printing comes in. So definitely QE is coming back because of these tariffs. I don't think it can last without these tariffs coming back, without these QE coming back, because Trump also promised tax cuts as well. Right, so the only way for this to happen, to solve what's happening, someone either has to cave, like Jerome Powell has to cave, or Trump has to cave. If they're not caving, then definitely, then you need to have the QE come back. MicroStrategy reverts to selling just common stock to buy Bitcoin. This is interesting. Back then it was just convertible notes, right? Well, like you basically are not buying the Bitcoin, but you are getting the money. If you need to redeem, it's dealing with the stocks and not the Bitcoin. But now it's saying the shares of MicroStrategy charged higher, and Bitcoin stockpile said it sold off more of its stock to help fund the purchase of Bitcoin. So they're selling its stock. Also, that's why the price is interesting. That's why the prices go up. So the buying started after Bitcoin sold off, which seen the stock and as the cryptocurrency market couldn't escape the turmoil seen in the stock and government bonds. The company did a relatively good job with its purchases at the average price was about 2.8% below current levels of 84,977. So I'm not sure why. Maybe the demand for the convertibles is waning, so they will need to sell stock. Well, then the next question I want to ask is, how much control does Michael Saylor have in the company? So let it read. I'm changing it to this view. Whoa, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, here, okay. I want to find out what's the percentage control of Strategy Inc. of Michael Saylor. Just want to find out what's his control, because if he's selling, he's not adding more shares, he's going to lose more control. Oh my. He only has 9.9% of Strategy Inc.'s stock right now. So his voting may dip. Wait, hold on. So it says here that it's 9.9% of the outstanding shares with approximately 20 million Class B common shares of November 2024. Due to the company's dual share structure, Class B shares carry 10 votes each compared to 1 vote for Class A shares. Okay, so Saylor controls roughly 45% of the voting power. Okay, that's good. Okay, well, my brain is not really working right now. Like, my point is, in terms of math, the more he sells, the less power he would have. And at what point would it actually tip? I'm pretty sure he has a base floor that he will not sell anymore. And then at that point, when there's not enough convertibles and he won't sell, we need to see what happens with the strategy stock. Okay, what's next? And the last one, yeah, so that's the last piece of news. So yeah, so we talked a lot today. We talked about the Harvard University grants. I was shocked that private funding, there's funding from federal government for private institutions, and to the point that there is even more autonomy than public institutions. This definitely has to change. Chinese manufacturing videos, as I said, I suspect a lot of them actually are members of the CCP. There's over 99 million members of the CCP. I'm not sure if you know. There's 1.3 billion people in China, 99 million, so you treat that as 100 million CCP members. That's basically nearly 10%, right? My numbers are correct. Nearly 10% of the whole country are CCP members. I don't know if that's a norm. Let's see. Let's just ask Grok in terms of US. How many government employees? Okay, let's go here. How many US government employees are there? Should be a very quick one. So US is 320 million people, 22.45 million. Okay, so 22.45 divided by 320. Okay, so around 7%. So it's actually very similar. Okay, it's actually very similar. But, okay, numbers is numbers. There's 100 million of them. It's 5 times the number of government employees than that of in the US. Okay, so that was interesting, and there's a lot of young members. I know that too. We talked about the Bitcoin price, talked about the different scenarios. We talked about Brazil, something that I learned, as we also discussed that it's not just about the US tariffs. Different countries will need to protect their own industries, so they need to think whether they want to retaliate with a so-called reciprocal tariffs as well to other countries other than the US, or let it flood cheap goods into the market. Talked about the MicroStrategy company. He's now selling common stock, so he needs to watch at what level that he will not sell anymore, and because he may lose control. And then we talked about the asset prices with the geopolitical risk, how it weighs on the prices, especially with the tariffs. Tariffs won't stop. The margins will go lower, but there's still a lot of margin for President Trump to take tariffs from. But in terms of the expectations of these stocks having lower margins, the prices will definitely go down. And when prices definitely go down, as we said, then you may have the QE, right? Quantitative easing. And we already see global M2 going up. Bitcoin prices are 10-week lag, but the gold doesn't have a lag. So if you look at gold, gold has been going up. Bitcoin will be following suit very soon as well. So that's it for today. 2 days later, I'm very, very excited. We'll have it at 9:30, not 9:30, sorry. Most of you will be asleep, so maybe you can watch the recording. 2 p.m. My time, which is 2 a.m. Eastern time. But I have to do that because Charles is based in Dubai. Dubai is 5 hours behind my time. So we have to do it then, which is, I think, is 9 a.m. He's the CEO of DYDX. I have a lot of hard questions that I'm going to ask him. So It'll be a very fun session. And if anyone knows anyone that wants to participate in the show, please go to my link tree and fill in the form below. It's in the lower part of the link tree links. Yeah, so for the US people today, hope you learned something. I learned quite a lot. Have a great night. And for people in Asia, Europe hasn't woken up yet. For people in Asia, have a great day ahead. See you soon.